Hello, this is Zahirul Alam. Welcome you all in Frankly Speaking. My guest today is Ms. Rebecca Pearl, Director for Partnerships and Initiatives, Policy Advocacy and Communication at the Vital Strategies, which is formerly known as World Lung Foundation, based in United States. There she guides and oversees the organization's work at the United Nations in New York and the World Health Organization in Geneva on public health issues, including the leading causes of heart disease, cancer, and lung disease. Her expertise includes tobacco control and obesity prevention. She also worked under the Bloomberg Initiative to reduce tobacco use and directed this work in different parts of the globe, ranging from Russia, Europe, Africa, for World Lung Foundation. He was a journalist, a member of the U.S. National Public Radio NPR, and was a winner of the Peabody Award. We welcome Rebecca Pearl on Frankly Speaking.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Good to have you on my show today.
Thank you.
Yeah, I remember I heard your lecture at the Johns Hopkins University during a leadership program in 2013.
Right.
And you were explaining about the leadership quality, about how to become an advocate in controlling tobacco use.
Yeah.
So, as a staunch advocate, tobacco control advocate, how you put forward the importance on the communication to dealing with the public health issues, important public health issues.
Yes.
How critically important is the communication?
Well, I think communication is absolutely critical. It's a huge piece of tobacco control, because you have to deliver your message to the people. People have to know the harms of tobacco in order for them to quit using tobacco. So you must educate them in ways that will grip them and make them understand that they really need to stop, because this is a very dangerous, deadly product that kills 1 in 2 users. I mean, imagine that. And it kills 100,000 people a year in Bangladesh. And these are unnecessary, early, preventable deaths. So you need to communicate that to people so that they can make a choice, not to use a product that's really quite deadly.
But how effectively the governments, the organizations, international organizations is putting forward the importance on communications in dealing with this menacing problem?
Right. So many governments do use communications to do this. And one of the best ways to do it, for instance, is campaigns, media campaigns. So getting your message out to the media, particularly at population level. So that means television, radio, broadcast media, and also some other ways, like through newspapers and through talking to journalists, things like this, so that the people can become aware of the dangers of tobacco. And I knew that message because I come from journalism. I worked at a radio station, so I understand the importance of getting your message out clearly and simply. And that's what governments need to do.
But what prompted you to quit journalism profession and getting into this?
So I had always covered public health issues as a journalist. I was a science and health journalist. I covered medicine, and I covered the Centers for Disease Control and the federal drug agencies in the U.S., the FDA, and
you also work for newspapers, some of the newspapers.
Yes, I worked for several newspapers. I worked for the health section of the Washington Post, and so I always was very interested in public health and those aspects of public health, like people, they're trying to get people to change their habits if they were unhealthy habits. And so it was easy for me to move from, I covered tobacco, so it was easy for me to move from being a tobacco reporter to being a tobacco or anti-tobacco advocate.
So, I mean, the organization you're representing now, that was previously known, I've mentioned that World Lung Foundation, Vital Strategies, and you were as a director of communication.
Yeah.
So what are the key purposes of your visit in this lake in Bangladesh?
So we came here to meet with government officials, to talk about the importance of tobacco control and to form a partnership with them so that we could help with technical assistance, so they can run campaigns, media campaigns that will discourage people from smoking and educate people. And we are working with Ministry of Health and some other organizations to encourage them to do best practice, evidence-based campaigns that will work to convince people they really.
So as an advocate, how do you see the overall progress Bangladesh have been made over the over the last years?
I think there has been some progress, which is great, but I think also there needs to still be more. Like, it's wonderful that you have graphic health warnings now on the packs.
Already been introduced.
And it's really an important thing to have because people take that pack when they smoke out of their pocket or, 15 times a day. They lay it on the table. People see it. It's a really nice communication tool, but we would like to see them. We would wish that they would be bigger and at the top of the packs where people could see them more.
But how to deal with the maneuverability in projecting the pictorial health warning on the cigarette packs and other packagings?
Yeah, it's not a complicated process. It's just a matter of having the legislation to say that the warning label should be bigger, and then the tobacco industry actually is the one that puts it on the pack.
We have good legislation.
Yeah, yes.
But despite of having the legislations, do you see that Bangladesh can effectively enforce that and reap benefit out of this legislation?
I think there is some good legislation like around smoke-free, but it does need to be enforced, I think, so that people will obey the laws and understand that there are fines unless you do obey the laws. I think the enforcement needs to be greater. But I think it's great that you have these smoke-free laws, but they could be stronger. Your taxes could be higher. I think all these things would help, and mass media campaigns could be part of what you do every year, several times a year. This would all help to reduce smoking.
You're watching Frankly Speaking. My guest today is Rebecca Pearl. From Vital Strategies, you have already mentioned that you are going to have partnership with the government to implement some of the public health issues, including, is that the only tobacco use or some of the other issues you are going to deal with in collaborations with the government of Bangladesh?
Yeah, I think maybe we will. I would hope that we could. For instance, non-communicable diseases, which are really the most prevalent ones, are cancer and heart disease, diabetes and lung disease. And tobacco affects all of these. So by reducing tobacco use, you're really reducing these chronic diseases that are a great burden to the country. And also, it might be that at some point we could work with the country on some of our other, we have this expertise in mass media, so some of the other areas that we work in, we could also use that expertise. For
what
instance,
are the other potential areas apart from mass media?
Yeah, so potentially if there's issues of obesity and diabetes, people want to talk about those kinds of issues, that's something we also work on. We also work on, and I believe we have a project with the government as well, civil registration, birth and death records, so that people know, so that governments know what people are dying from, and they can make policies based on that knowledge. So everything we do is designed to be knowledge-based,
okay.
evidence-based.
Rebecca, as a communication expert, how do you see the is there any room for improvement of leadership quality in our country to pursue these critical public health issues to have some certain good positive outcome or results?
Well, I think what's really important is that the Ministry of Health and that your government officials care primarily and foremost for the health of the people and aren't listening to people who don't care about the health of the people, like the tobacco industry. I think they really need to focus on doing the right thing for the people of Bangladesh, and that's being concerned about their health.
There are certain international instruments like FCTC and Bangladesh signed, ratified, and yes, globally acclaimed also. Yes. We have some certain legislations, we have amended those legislations, and everybody is, that's praiseworthy, no doubt about that. But having said all this thing, where we are, our position lies. In comparison with the global standard, if you look at the other organizations, especially in South Asia, how do you define the Bangladesh situation?
Yeah, I think, it is fabulous that you passed the FCTC. You were one of the early signatories of it. But there's much work to be done, I think. For instance, in India, they have programs where they run mass media campaigns most months of the year to warn people about the dangers. I think it would be really great if Bangladesh did something similar to this. Again, some of the other areas in this, some of the other countries in this region, Nepal, have a larger graphic health warning. I think you could do with a larger graphic health warning. I think some countries have higher taxes. I think a higher tax would probably be a good would definitely be a good idea. In fact, the most important thing you could do probably is to raise
No
your
doubt,
taxes.
no denying that it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea. But do you
Critically
see the
important.
government has that good intention or the sense to pursue that idea to raise tax and arrest this menacing trend?
I hope they do. Yes, that's what I think they should be doing. I hope so. Yes. And
That's an optimism.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Well,
but
I
what is
think
it in practice?
I honestly don't know enough to know how committed they are, but my job is to encourage them to be committed to these things. And I think that around, as far as the worldwide view, the look of the globe, Bangladesh has a high rate of smoking. 43% of people in this country smoke, mostly men. This is quite high, and you have a large population, and the country is still very much a developing country, so when people get sick from tobacco diseases, there's really isn't the proper treatments for them, and they suffer. And this is really a terrible thing, I think. So.
Also, apart from striking official partnership, taking programs, initiatives, from vital strategies, how do you motivate people to improve their capacity in general?
Yeah. Well, among the things we do,
say for instance, in Johns Hopkins, you are giving lecture.
Exactly.
You are listening some of the regional and global leaders, advocates in promoting this this campaign.
Yes. Yes.
To control use of tobacco.
Yes.
So what are the vital strategies here to deal with?
Right, that's great. I think among the things that we try to do is we build capacity. We do trainings and workshops. That's one of the reasons we were here this week, to do trainings and workshops, to teach people, to get their skills up and encourage them, to show them the vital importance of tobacco control and the vital importance of NCDs compared to some other issues they might be focused on. So we want them to focus where they can save the most lives.
You're watching Frankly Speaking. Rebecca Pearl, when we're talking about controlling use of tobacco in Bangladesh or across the world, definitely the question of huge influence of tobacco industry comes out. So how they are growingly influential in many countries, and we are no exception here in Bangladesh. So from vital strategies, what are the means or weapons or tools or instruments are there to arrest or diffuse the intervening capacity, the influence of the tobacco industry?
It's a great question, and I think some of the things we want to do as tobacco advocates are put in regulations that stop them from doing the things they do. So in other words, you don't want them having advertisements that are really lies, that are really encouraging children to smoke, that are really suggesting to children that if you smoke you're going to be popular or happier or have a better life or have more fun. This is not the reality. The reality is that smoking actually makes you very, very sick and kills 1 in 2 users. So you want to combat that. You also want to keep them away from policy making. They should not be part of the policy making instruments of the government. They need to stay away from that. You want to make sure that you're countering their advertising or banning or restricting their advertising, because again, their advertising encourages children to smoke. You don't want them having flavors that attract children. You don't want them having parties or sponsorships that attract young people. So you really want to curtail what they do that's attracting new, innocent young people, because the reason they keep trying to attract new, innocent young people is because smokers die, and they need to fill those places with new smokers. So it's quite a cynical industry.
But do you see a good amount or good degree of goodwill among the governments in diffusing their influence, the tobacco industry's influence, or they are doing things in connivance with?
Yeah, I think they shouldn't be having really anything to do with the industry. So they shouldn't be sitting on their boards, they shouldn't be inviting them into meetings, they shouldn't be taking any favors from them or any money from them. I think that really can't happen, because that's undue influence, and really they need to stay away from like I said, I think they need to be focused on people's health.
Yeah. Talk about something on the SDGs. I mean, public health issues was the main focus on SDGs.
Yeah.
There are certain targets, goals have been
Yes,
set out in the SDGs. So, how realistic it sounds
Right.
that will really be achieving
Right.
those objectives which are set out in
Right.
SDGs?
Again, that's a great question, and I think certainly the goals are very ambitious. And Goal 3, which is about health, one of the things that has to happen under Goal 3 is that countries.
You can pick the people.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
One of the things that has to happen under Goal 3 is that countries need to make sure that tobacco control is front and center in what they do, because you won't be able to get to those development goals without tobacco control. In fact, with a lack
This is the mother of many preventable deaths and diseases around the
Yes,
world.
exactly. And so if you want to move forward in development, you have to have a healthy population, and you won't have a healthy population if you allow the tobacco industry to hook people in your country to products that are dangerous and make them sick. And so, one of the things we would really hope that would happen here is this 1% surcharge on tobacco, and that this money could be used for public health.
Public welfare.
Yes, for NCDs, to get to the SDGs, to make sure that you have a healthy population.
How do you see the commitment and the conviction of our Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, who has very convincingly declared that Bangladesh, she wants the Bangladesh will be tobacco-free country by 2040.
Yeah.
How do you see the conviction?
I think it's a great goal, and I really commend it. And I hope you can get there, and we will do all we can to help you get there.
Rebecca, apart from tobacco control, you have been working in obesity prevention and some other public health issues. So, talk about something the risk and the prevalence of obesity and other some of the NCDs in the developing countries like Bangladesh.
Yeah. So I believe it's 59% of Bangladeshis now are dying from non-communicable diseases, from cancers and heart diseases, lung diseases, and diabetes. Those are the leading ones. And across the developing world, across the world, 70% of people are dying from these conditions and these diseases, and another 10% from accidents and injuries. So we want to focus on things like traffic crashes, safe roads.
Okay.
We want to concentrate on people eating healthier diets, not diets that are very high in fats and sugars and salts. We want to focus on no smoking, because this is part of all three. And all four of the most common NCDs. So there are ways. We want to think about prevention, because it's so expensive to treat these diseases. Better to focus on preventing these diseases.
So, in the next years, next days and years, after striking official partnership with the government, definitely you had previously, and you are looking forward for furthering your cooperation with the government.
Yes.
So, how optimistic you are about dealing with the menacing or critical public health issues, NCDs in Bangladesh in the days to come?
No, I'm optimistic about it. I think the government, from our conversations, the government is interested in this work. They're interested in media campaigns. They're interested in a healthier population. At least this is what they said to me, and I have no reason not to believe that they are going to do these things.
And apart from vital strategies, how do you see the other organizations' attention from different organizations or different countries or different like WHO and other developed nations? Do they invest proper attention in terms of fund or in terms of technical assistance to the developing nations in arresting, in dealing with this problem?
I think, of course, there could be more money for these problems. WHO doesn't have a lot of money, unfortunately, to give to these problems, but the WHO officials here have been very supportive of what we're doing and very helpful, and they truly care about moving these issues forward, I think.
So we're almost at the end of our program. So what is your message finally, the issues you're working on?
I would like to see this country put this 1%, adopt the 1% surcharge on tobacco and put this money to work on public health so that you can have a healthier a country and move forward with development.
Well, we have that one surcharge.
Yes, but it hasn't. The money has not been
Used.
not being
in-
utilized.
in-
It should be used for health, and for media campaigns and for.
Have you been
graphic-
able to successfully motivate your counterpart about this issue?
I don't know. We're trying. We've talked to them about it. I think it's a critical thing to do.
Okay, so you are receiving good amount of cooperation from Bangladesh side.
Yes, yes, we are.
So,
The
in
people have
terms
been
of
great.
in terms of capacity building as well.
Yeah, I think they are really interested in the work we are doing, and yeah.
So
I've
we're
been
moving
pleased.
forward potentially.
I hope so. Yes, I have no reason to think not. I hope
Okay.
so.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
giving me time.
Yes, certainly.
And it's an honor.
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank
Dear
you.
viewers, that was my conversation with Ms. Rebecca Pearl, Director for Partnership and Initiative, Policy Advocacy and Communication at the Vital Strategies from USA. And we thank you indeed for watching our program. And we invite you to watch our next episode. Until then, to take care and goodbye.